Hello everyone, my name is Seth, and today I'm going to give you my review of Roadhouse. Roadhouse that just came out a little bit ago on Amazon is a remake of the 1989 Patrick Swayze movie. I went into this not exactly knowing what to think. There's a lot of people who said they liked it, and probably about the same amount of people who said they didn't. But it looked interesting enough, so here we are. Also, the reason why some of the videos have been late or non-existent is because I moved. So bear with me as I kind of work through this setup. There might be a couple different places I'm filming, but just kind of work with me as I'm figuring this out. Roadhouse's story is really about as simple as it can be. I mean, the synopsis for the movie tells you basically everything you need to know. An ex-UFC fighter named Dalton takes a job as a bouncer at a Florida Keys roadhouse, only to find out this place isn't exactly how it seems. The script here is super straightforward, and it's definitely not going to be winning any awards for its script. The script is pretty bare bones, but they do throw in some humor. I definitely appreciate that. It got a few laughs out of me. There's this one character I really like. He kind of reminds me of Luis from the Ant-Man movies. But as a whole, I would say, I guess the script works well enough to just kind of keep the story going. But I definitely have some issues with the villain's plan in this. It's like a cartoon villain plan, like a Looney Tunes villain plan. And this master plan definitely has a lot of holes in it. And the plan as a whole kind of left me underwhelmed whenever we got more information about it throughout the film. And the script also doesn't do the villain's character any favors. As far as characters go, Jake Gyllenhaal's character of Dalton is the most interesting and well-developed. Throughout the film, they kind of allude to his backstory, and they keep it relatively vague, but they give us enough to keep us interested. I really like the backstory they gave him. I feel like it added a different layer to his character. Unfortunately, we don't really get that from any of the other characters, and so that's a little disappointing. Like I mentioned, the villain is just basically kind of one note the whole film. It's performed well, but it still is just one note, no depth. We don't get to see another side of him. I feel like more depth to his character could have made him a more interesting antagonist. In Conor McGregor, he plays another one of the antagonists. It's basically the same story, although that one's a little bit more forgivable because he's definitely not an actor. I did like Daniela Melchior's character, Ellie. I do buy her and Dalton's relationship. I like the character's personality. It's just I wish there was more depth to the character. But I think talking about the script as a whole, lack of depth is probably the right phrase. Jake Gyllenhaal was actually really good in this. He gave a really good performance. It was a fun performance. The way he played this character was just very interesting and very entertaining. He's this big, tough guy, a former UFC fighter, but he just seems so nice and very charming. Like before he gets into a fight at one point in the film, he asks how far the nearest hospital is, and then after he wins the fight, he takes these guys to the hospital. And you can tell just from his performance that there's something more to this character. And he also does a great job of delivering the humor in this role as well. He really takes on the physicality of this role, and he does a great job selling the action. He also has really good chemistry with Daniela Melchior. And I think those two were very entertaining together. I liked any time they were on screen together. She had a good performance too. She is a very talented actress, and I think she does a lot to elevate the character, even though she didn't have a ton to work with. I think Billy Magnuson as the villain is in a pretty similar situation. I liked his performance. His character's one-dimensional. There's no depth. But he's entertaining to watch, and he does a great job of playing a villain that you just love to hate. Also have to talk about Conor McGregor. He is definitely not an actor, and you can 100% tell it in this film. He isn't good. He's not a thespian by any stretch of the imagination, but he's at least entertaining. Like, I've already seen like a bunch of memes online from his performance in this film. And honestly, he has a pretty good on-screen presence. Director Doug Liman didn't really ask him to do too much, though. He did a good job of trying to hide his weaknesses the best he can and just kind of play into Conor McGregor's strengths. And one impressive thing I will say is that Conor McGregor does a good job with the fight scenes, and I know, obviously, he knows how to fight. But there's a difference between real fighting like UFC and fighting choreography for the screen. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult for them to translate it to the screen, to the on-screen choreography. But he does a good job here with the action and the fight scenes. The fights in this are a lot of fun. They have a lot of energy and they're just really entertaining to watch. And from a movie like this, that's exactly what you want. I think all of the action and the fight choreography is well done. There's a few CGI things in the fights, and those are the instances that kind of stick out to me the most. I don't understand what they were going for, though. I heard somebody mention that there was CGI in the fight scenes, and I was a little confused because I think this is a perfect opportunity to have more of a grounded fight scene, maybe something a little bit along the lines of like a John Wick. But I'll say for the most part, it is grounded and believable. There's only a couple times throughout this where you kind of have to suspend your disbelief. The CGI that some people are referring to when they're talking about the CGI in the fight scenes is when they like seamlessly transition into a POV shot, or maybe they have some camera movements that like physically wouldn't be possible. Definitely appreciate the creativity, and I definitely appreciate them giving that a shot. But some of those instances did kind of pull me out a little bit. Overall, I had a good enough time with Roadhouse. This is definitely not going to be on anybody's like top films of the year list. There's not a lot of depth to the story or to the characters. I do appreciate some of the storytelling around Jake Gyllenhaal's character. Gyllenhaal does a great job in this. I also like the performances from Daniela Melchior and Billy Magnussen. And Conor McGregor is not giving a good performance, but he's giving an entertaining one. Action is good in this, and this is really just kind of like the definition of just like a popcorn movie. There's issues in this film. Nothing's too offensively bad. As a whole, I think the film is pretty fun. One interesting note so far, though, is that Roadhouse has become Amazon's biggest original release. At the time of recording this, I think I saw the number that was like over 50 million viewers. So even with the reviews definitely being mixed, a lot of people tuned into this. And I think this probably would have done pretty well in theaters. But the reports around this are that Amazon gave the filmmakers a choice. Do you want a higher budget or do you want it to go in theaters? And they chose the money. But regardless, I think this probably should have been released in theaters. I thought it would have been a fun theater experience. I'm going to give Roadhouse a 3 out of 5. But that's it. That's my review of Roadhouse. Have you seen this film? Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. I would love to have a conversation with you about it. Don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can follow me on social media pretty much anywhere at CinemaSeth, and I'll see you next time.